This little pile of dirt was once an electric car battery before it went through all this. And now you have all the good stuff, cobalt, nickel, manganese and lithium in here. And the idea is to turn these raw materials into a new battery again.
Companies promise they can make this work, recovering more than 90% of materials from old lithium-ion batteries and recycling them into new ones.
And that's great news, because we have more and more electric cars hitting the streets. So we need more and more batteries, and for those we need more and more resources.
And recycling is better than mining new materials and throwing them away.
But how does it work exactly, and does it work at scale?
To find out, we initially hoped to film with a battery recycling company in Europe, but apart from releasing promo footage like this, the industry seems pretty secretive.
Thankfully, universities are much more open, which is why we came to TU Clausthal. Here the focus is on metal recovery, just the perfect fit for us. But before we go in, I'll give you a quick rundown of how a car battery turns into a small piece of dirt.
There are several ways, but this is one of them. First, the battery arrives at a recycling facility and gets discharged. After, it's taken apart. This is done by hand, which means it's expensive, but we'll get to that later. The battery then gets shredded. The liquid parts get extracted, and different methods of grinding and sifting leave you with these base materials. Metals from the battery housing, plastic, and a bit of aluminium and copper. But the stuff that everybody is after is this.
Black mass. This contains all the valuable materials like lithium, cobalt, nickel and manganese, but also graphite. That's why it's black. And today we're gonna get all of them out of there, but that's not my job, but theirs.
This is Luca Metke, a doctoral researcher at TU Clausthal, and his chemical lab technician Maike Gamenik. The university is part of a larger research group that is trying to figure out how to do this on a larger scale.
And by the way, this is what the end goal of this process is supposed to look like.
Thin metal foil, ready to go into a battery again.
So what are we doing now with the black mass?
So now we are going into the leaching operation with the black mass. So we are bringing all the valuable metals we have in the black mass into solution.
The metal we're after today is cobalt. To bring that out, Maike is using sulfuric acid as a solvent. Pretty nasty stuff. If it would touch our skin, it would instantly cause severe burns. We're using a process called hydrometallurgical recycling. It's a low temperature process that only uses small amounts of energy compared to other battery recycling methods. Sulfuric acid's fumes are toxic, hence the ventilator. But this entire process is perfect for getting rid of impurities that are still in the black mass after all the shredding and sifting, mainly aluminium and copper. As a second step, the black mass also gets filtered. Luca says throughout the entire recycling process they are able to remove 95% of impurities. On a scale a little bit bigger, the whole process looks like this. Massive pots of solvent in which black mass is processed.
So from what we're seeing here, the exhaust gases seem to be a bit of an issue. What are we dealing with there?
Yeah, we're having kind of a small issue with this. So depending on the acid you are leaching with, for example in our case sulfuric acid, you might have some evolution of H2S. So, and maybe also some HF formation. So this is kind of problematic and definitely something you need to look into when you're going into upscaling.
And we also have the acids, the solvents and the leaches and stuff like that, which is also not that great for the environment. Is there a way to approach that differently?
Actually, there are at the moment upcoming researches for organic acids, for more green acids, which are also very biocompatible with the environment. So normally they're quite harmless, but the research is in a way not at an advanced stadium as it is now.
And if you don't work cautiously, you get headlines like this. Sungil High-Tech's factory in Hungary recorded high levels of cancer-causing heavy metals in the air and had difficulties filtering its exhaust gases. Bye-bye environmental benefits of recycling. So many things to consider, and we're not even halfway done. Our black mass is now added to another solvent that will help bring out the cobalt in this chemical cocktail. And it's pretty colorful, from greenish to dark blue.
It's like so blue it almost looks like ink. You could like write with that.
And it's this dark blue part actually that the cobalt sticks to. To get a higher concentration of cobalt, we need to do another round of this. This time we're going from blue to red.
Now that's a color change.
So now the cobalt is in the darker reddish parts, but to be able to use the metal in new batteries, you of course need to get it out of the solvent. You can do that by heating it up, as you would at industry scale, or a little quicker in a small lab like this with yet another solvent.
You really can see the crystals a lot here. They're even accumulated at the bottom. Like, how much cobalt is that now from the black mass is in here?
Well, actually, with this technique, we are able to recover more than 99% of the cobalt.
What are the biggest challenges in upscaling these processes? What makes it so hard?
Yeah, of course, here we also run through the problem that on lab scale we are only doing this in batch experiments. So step by step, very calm and steady. But in industry, you want to earn money, so you are having a continuous process. And handling a continuous process with all the impurities and all the process steps and small things you need to consider, it's kind of challenging, yes.
That's what other researchers say as well. Recovering more than 90% of materials is possible, but this requires optimal conditions, which you don't always find in the real world. If the recovery rates drop, the business case becomes even more difficult.
And that's what it comes down to with recycling. One thing is to make it work technologically. A completely different thing is to make money from it.
And that's where the industry faces its biggest challenges.
Remember how I said that batteries have to be taken apart by hand? That's because every manufacturer builds them a little bit differently.
This means machines can't currently do all of the job, and that drives up costs. So does the most expensive part of the process, the hydrometallurgical recycling. And there's another factor that makes it hard to turn a profit.
The more difficult part comes in from volatility in the market, because in the metals market you have a lot of speculation. And if you see, for instance, lithium prices, 1 year back, I don't know the exact number by heart, but 1 year back I think it was 8 times higher, 10 times higher than today. Crazy prices.
This is Julian Prölz from BASF. They just opened up their prototype black mass refining plant in Germany this year and plan to scale up the technology further.
The volatility in the market is a stress to everybody who mines or who recycles. Right now the prices are quite low, which is a challenge for everybody who seeks investment.
Basically, if prices are high, recyclers make more money. But the question is, how much? Consulting firm McKinsey expects recyclers to make around $800 to $1,600 per ton of battery.
It's really about how much do you pay when you acquire the material.
This is Hans-Erik Mellon. He has been analyzing the end-of-life battery market for years.
So if you get material for free and then you process it and sell it to market price, you will usually make a lot of money. You will most probably make more than many mining operations.
But if recyclers would need to pay for the batteries, the economics get shaky. This could mean recycling is more expensive than just mining new materials.
And this isn't the only issue for a commercial-sized plant. Another challenge are the materials used in the battery itself.
It could be a whole bunch of combinations. Lithium iron phosphate, lithium manganese oxide, lithium nickel cobalt aluminium, or lithium nickel manganese cobalt. And the last one even comes in different compositions. 1-to-1-to-1, 6-to-2-to-2, or 8-to-1-to-1. It's the Wild West out there when it comes to battery manufacturing, which makes it more difficult to build tailored commercial plants.
You have to build them for the largest possible amount of the individual material, like nickel, high nickel, 811 for instance. The ratio to the other components, you have to have a really huge nickel separator. Whereas if you're having a 111, you have to be able to precipitate a lot of cobalt. Then you have to have a huge separator for cobalt. You have to be pretty robust, and that's of course driving the cost, which means that some analysis from some universities predicting the cost of the flow sheets are completely wrong, because they might go to an optimum case.
The bottom line is, in the real world, recycling is much harder than on paper.
Another problem for recycling batteries doesn't have anything to do with the recycling process itself, but with the missing feedstock.
Electric car batteries last longer than previously thought. And after that, they get used for all kinds of other things, like storing renewable energy, which means there aren't as many batteries to be recycled.
On a lab scale, recycling batteries is no issue at all. 99% cobalt recovered. Insane. But on a commercial scale, not so much info there. For example, what are we going to do with the harmful byproducts? So there's some questions that still need to be answered.